One of the things I love about baseball is how unique it is from other sports, and there are many aspects of Major League Baseball that you won't find in other professional sports leagues. One of those aspects being the September expanded rosters. Like other professional leagues, the MLB roster is at a set limit, but unlike other sports, the set limit changes during the regular season. Historically, starting in September, baseball teams were allowed to expand their active roster from a maximum 25 players to a maximum 40 players. This is where the term September call-up comes from, as teams will call up various amounts of players from the minor leagues. These September call-ups will typically be rookies or other inexperienced players where teams will give them a shot to play at the major league level that they wouldn't normally get otherwise. During this month, these players have the opportunity to stand out and make the most of their limited time on the active roster, in hopes they might be a part of the team's future the following season. Some notable examples of these September call-ups making an impact include Hall of Famer Roy Halladay, where he was 1 out short of a no-hitter in just his second career start. Ryan Zimmerman hit nearly 420 games and blossomed into a franchise legend for the Washington Nationals. Francisco Rodriguez was so impressive upon his call-up, the Angels added him to their postseason roster, and he had a legendary playoff performance in 2002. Of course, not all September call-ups will work out in the end. We remember players like Halladay, Zimmerman, and Rodriguez because they had great stretches and transformed into stars. For every one of those players, there are dozens of others that fizzle out. With that being said, these players still get the opportunity to make a lasting impression, and I want to discuss what one player did in particular that lives on nearly a quarter century later. The player in question is former left fielder Roosevelt Brown. If you've never heard of him before, I don't blame you, as he had a short career. Brown played in Major League Baseball for 4 seasons, from 1999 to 2002, all coming with the Chicago Cubs. During his time in the big leagues, Brown was used mostly as a bench player, usually only making spot starts when needed. This is evidenced by the fact that he only has 491 career plate appearances across 228 games. Of those 228 games, Brown came in as a substitute in 134 of them, or 59%. Of his 94 career starts, 45 of them, or just under half, came in either the month of September or October. Looking at his stats specifically, he slashed .251 with a .311 on base and .407 slugging for a .719 OPS, 87 adjusted OPS, and earned -0.8 WAR. He wasn't a big home run hitter, only hitting 11 for his career, and didn't steal many bases either, having only 3 total. Those numbers may seem underwhelming, but he showed potential to be a great hitter. In AAA during the 1999 season, Brown had an OPS of 1.114 in 74 games, prompting his call-up to the major leagues. In 2000, Brown only appeared in 45 games for the Cubs, but had a batting average of .352 with an OPS of .916. He spent most of 2001 in AAA, continuing his elite hitting, having an OPS over 1,000 and hitting nearly 60 extra base hits in just 88 games. He was great in the minor leagues, but at this point, he would pretty much only ever get called up if someone was hurt or if the rosters expanded. Not to mention, he often struggled at the major league level. Despite a great showing in 2000, Brown was off to a slow start in 2001. He made 2 separate stints for the Cubs that year before September, where in 24 games, he batted .214 with a lowly .665 OPS. He was called up to the active roster once again in September 2001 and resumed his typical role as a bench player. Through his first 13 games that month, he only started 3 of them, 2 of which came after the Cubs were eliminated from the playoffs. At 26 years old by this point, it certainly appeared this would be how Roosevelt Brown's career would continue to be. A great minor league hitter who would make occasional major league appearances only when absolutely needed. By all accounts, he didn't show any promise as a regular starter one day. Inconsistent hitting in the majors, plus the Cubs had a bit of a logjam in the outfield. Their top prospect, Corey Patterson, was an outfielder. They signed veteran left fielder Moises Alou as a free agent, and they had this one player in right field by the name of Sammy Sosa. Maybe you've heard of him. Brown likely could be out of baseball in the blink of an eye. However, that's what makes his performance on October 6th so special. For at least one day in his career, he was on center stage for the baseball world. October 6, 2001 was the penultimate game of the regular season for the Chicago Cubs. Playing at home, the team, as well as their opponent, the Pittsburgh Pirates, were both eliminated from playoff contention and simply were playing out the rest of the season with nothing to play for. Given the situation, everyday left fielder Rondell White was given the day off, so Brown slotted in for him in left field, batting 5th in the lineup. Julian Taveras took the mound for Chicago and got some help from Brown right away. With one out, shortstop Jack Wilson lined the ball to left, where Brown made the fantastic diving catch to rob Wilson of a hit. Pittsburgh went down 1-2-3 that inning, and Tony McKnight took the mound for the Pirates in the bottom half. A single and walk set runners on first and second with 2 outs, with Brown coming to the plate.
Swing, belted, deep toward right field, Roosevelt Brown, out onto Sheffield Avenue.
His 3rd home run of the year gave Chicago a quick 3-0 lead, and the club would add to that score throughout the game. In the 3rd inning, Sammy Sosa hit a high fly ball down the right field line, which should have been a routine flyout, but rookie right fielder Rob Makoviak lost the ball in the sun, it landed fair beyond him in the corner, and Sosa came all the way around to score on the inside the park home run. For someone that hit 609 career home runs, this was just one of 2 ever inside the park home runs he ever hit. 2 pitches later, Fred McGriff launched a home run of his own to right field to go back-to-back with Sosa, and the Cubs were suddenly up 5-0 in the 3rd. 3 innings later in the 6th, Delino DeShields singled in Todd Hundley on a grounder to the left side, and the Cubs tackled on another run to make it 6-0. Taveras wouldn't need all those runs though, as he was lights out all game. In the top of the 7th, he got Kevin Young swinging for the strikeout, and then got Humberto Cota caught looking for 9 strikeouts through 7 scoreless innings. After a leadoff triple in the bottom of the 7th, Roosevelt Brown stepped up to the plate again and hit a liner to left field that would score Michael Tucker on a sacrifice fly, giving him 4 RBIs on the day. If you thought he and the Cubs were done there, you'd be mistaken. The Pirates scored 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning to make it a 7-2 game, but Chicago answered right back. In the bottom of the 8th, 3 straight singles load the bases with 1 out for Sammy Sosa. Facing reliever Scott Sauerbeck, Sosa nearly hit a grand slam, but settled for a double off the wall to drive home a pair, and the Cubs grabbed those 2 runs right back. Following Sosa, Michael Tucker singled into right field to score Corey Patterson to go up 10-2. Sosa stopped at 3rd, and now there are runners on the corners with Roosevelt Brown coming to the plate. With 4 RBIs on the day so far, Brown tied his career high with a chance to break it right here.
0-2 to Brown. Swing and a high fly driven deep to right. Makoviak back, track, wall, gone! 3-run homer Brown!
Roosevelt Brown, who had just 2 home runs and 15 RBIs on the year entering that day, had the game of his life. Unofficially named the Roosevelt Brown game, he's just one of 7 Cubs players in the 21st century with at least 2 home runs and 7 RBIs in a single game. Following this 13-2 Cubs victory, Brown said on his performance, "I just want to show what I can do. I've been doing the same thing I've been doing here, down there. It's just a matter of getting time in and seeing pitches and feeling comfortable up here the same as I've done at every level I've been at." Cubs manager Don Baylor was impressed with the outfielder, saying, "I plan on him being on this team next season. I don't think he has more to prove in AAA. I think he's a major league hitter. Certainly just 1 game doesn't have that big of an impact on making a team, but it definitely can't hurt." Brown would end up making the opening day roster for 2002 and spent the entire season in the major leagues, but never lived up to the hype from that 1 game. Once again, he was used mostly as a bench player where, in 211 plate appearances, he slashed .211 with a .299 on base and .314 slugging for 612 OPS and 63 adjusted OPS. He was released following the 2002 season and never made another MLB appearance ever again. While that may be an anticlimactic finish to a short career, it shows the magic of the end-of-year expanded rosters. Players who normally wouldn't be on the big league team are given the opportunity to play in the majors, have the chance to rise to the occasion, prove to the team that they belong, and make people in the baseball world remember your name. Roosevelt Brown may not have had a spectacular career, But we remember him some 23 years later for his moment in the limelight.